I think we have 64 followers now. So, um, one thing I wanted to talk about was imposter syndrome today.
What's that?
Imposter syndrome. When Anari, what did I say about the lights? Okay, that's fine. Okay. Don't turn the other one on though, okay? Thank you. Um, it's like when you feel like you don't belong, like you feel like you're like a faker. Like
Constantly in autopilot mode or something?
it's not really autopilot, but it's more like you think you don't deserve what you have or where you are. Like you don't deserve to be there. Like how do these people not know? You just feel like an imposter. How do these people like not know that I shouldn't be here? Like kind of a thing. You never heard of imposter syndrome?
I actually haven't, no.
Hmm.
Okay, that's a good conversation for sure. Ooh. I guess I can bring it up. No, see, because I don't want to. We're live, correct?
Yeah, we're live right now. I'm checking the volume and stuff.
Okay. I streamed earlier. I'm gonna stream again once we're done here,
that.
but that was pretty fun. I was showing Lion some of my football cards.
Oh, that's cool. Wow, what's
Anari.
that? Here. Look at. Listen.
Anari. What are you doing?
I'm playing.
Are you playing? Can you see me? Can you see me?
Here, I'll get it. Go play.
Yeah.
Hi, buddy. Okay, I like that. Yep, imposter syndrome.
I looked it up on Google so we could talk about the definition.
Absolutely.
What? What, bud? Your bike is right there. You're silly. I'm gonna tweet this out quick.
It's a good topic. It's a good topic.
Probably should talk about.
So that one interview that I did do with the guy by the name of Richie Weber, he sent me the video again this morning.
I saw it was live on Facebook.
Yeah, that video was at over 60,000 views.
I saw it. I liked your comment underneath it. Like that's beyond solid. Hello, hello. Test, test, test.
Check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
I gotta look up how to do this without being live. Hello, hello. Test, test, test. All right, we are good.
Go. Sweet, 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 sweet.
I'm gonna sit like this so I can hear the child. All right. Yeah. What? No, don't go over there. Stay over here. Thank you. Remember, we have to stay down here. That was the deal for coming down here, right? Okay. Welcome to some Untapped Keg. Thank you for tapping in. I am one of your hosts, RJ Zimmerman, here with my brother-in-law, Monte Ball. How do you like this new screen there, big guy? You kind of feel professional. How you doing?
Daddy.
Good, man. Good. I actually got to check it out. I'm gonna check it out right now. I actually didn't even see it, but all is well on my end, man. I am excited, man. We're doing some awesome things, man, with creating this sober community, this community where we just speak about our recovery journey. We speak about some of the barriers that are going on within the recovery community. It's just really refreshing. So, but how about yourself? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you, everyone who's tuning in late. We're recording this a little later than we usually do because I worked on Sunday morning. So for a few hours, we had to take a school district building out, and they've requested that we do it on a Sunday. So we did it on a Sunday so that we didn't inconvenience them. But yeah, and I don't know how loud it is. You'll hear some noise and see some little bodies running around. So maybe blessed with a child's presence, but my oldest is down here playing. So
You gotta love it, man.
there's a lot of exciting things happening. So first thing first, we decided to wait to debut this scene, this overlay, till today. We wanted to do it on this podcast because we're really inspired. Like this podcast, after we get on this podcast, it like fills us with energy for the week, like for real.
Right.
We were both talking on Thursday about how this podcast it inspires us. Just everybody in the community, everything that we talk about, how well it's received, the fact that we made it a full year, 50 episodes, we're at 51 right now. It's awesome. And, we just started recording video in Twitch since the first of this year, pretty much everybody out there knows. And we got really serious about streaming really the last 2 weeks. And it was with FCF football, fan control football, that we were streaming that. And we started to see some engagement from that. And it started to grow the channel a little bit. And the podcast started growing a little bit too. So we want to thank everybody. Like we reached affiliate level status on Twitch, which means nothing to most people, but it means people can subscribe to our page. It means that we could start making a little bit of money there, that hopefully it'll pay for the podcast. So then, our significant others can calm down a little bit about our hobbies. So that's really exciting. And then, with the future, we would like the podcast to fund itself, and getting these professional overlays like this, the artwork, a lot of other stuff that's not free. We want to pay people a fair wage for what it costs. They do some really cool stuff. I love this. As soon as they sent me this, I was like, this is amazing. This is exactly what we need. I feel professional. I feel like I belong.
It looks nice.
We want to pay people what they're worth. So we might end up getting sponsors. We might end up getting ads. And with that, we wanted to let everybody know our ethics that surround that. So, if we are sponsored, we'll be upfront. Number one, we will let you know that we receive money with this product. Number two, we will let you know if it's an ad, like that we're receiving money to talk about this. And then number three, we'll let you know our real thoughts about what we think, no matter what it is. Chair, headphones, whatever. If we pay for it, we'll let you know. If we got it for free, we'll let you know. If we receive money, we will let you know. We'll be upfront about it because we're about truth here. We're about growth, and we don't want anybody to feel like, we're scamming you. We're going behind your back. Like, we want to be upfront. And honestly, if we could turn this into our careers and talk and inspire people, like, I think we'd both be okay with that. So just being upfront and honest about everything that could possibly happen from here and what's happened so far.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I really appreciate you bringing that up because it's such a good point. Because when you start getting into ads, when you start getting into really, yeah, I guess just ads. Yeah, some places, again, we're not going to name any names, but some places are just saying what they are supposed to say because they may be receiving money because of the ad. They may have gotten the product for free, etc. That's not how we're going to be. That is not how we're going to be. We're going to stick to our truths. We're going to stick to our honesty. We're going to stick to our transparency, which is if the product sucks, I'm going to tell you it sucks. Period. That's just how. That's just the truth about it. If the product is great, I'm going to let you know that it's great. That's just what we owe you guys. That's what we owe to ourselves, everybody else, just to continuously provide this transparency into our lives. So that's what we're gonna do. But this is awesome, man. I'm looking at it right now on Twitch. The overlay.
It's
the
real.
Overlay.
It's real and it works.
Yeah. The overlay is sweet, man. The overlay is sweet, and I'm ready to get going, man. I know that you got a really good topic, man. A really good topic that you kind of wanted to bring up. Again, this is our Sunday podcast. This is our Untitled Cake flagship, guys. This is where we talk about some very serious stuff. Both of us are on our sobriety journeys. And again, we're at that point in our lives where we now know that we have to give back. We have to reach down, reach over, reach up, what have you, grab somebody else who may be struggling and bring them along the way. That is just the process that we're in. So RJ has a really good topic that he brought to my attention that I'm really looking forward to getting into right now. That actually deals with life in general, but also the recovery community as well.
Yeah, I've kind of dealt with this a little bit. I don't remember if I heard it on a podcast earlier this week or not, but just came to my mind again. And that has to do with imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
So, how we deal with imposter syndrome, how we maybe struggle with it. I struggle with it. I have struggled with it. Imposter syndrome is loosely defined as doubting your abilities and feeling like a fraud. And it disproportionately affects people who are accomplishing their goals, right? It's and then you start receiving maybe some accolades or something like, I honestly feel it with just everyday compliments. I feel like, when we go on Storm and being a lineman and putting people's power back on and people thank me, I don't feel like I deserve thanks. I don't feel like, people stop and say they appreciate what I do. And I just, I know that they mean what they're saying, but I just feel like that I don't deserve that. Like, my coworkers who are working their butts off, they deserve it. And I'm not saying I don't work my butt off, but I'm just trying to, I'm trying to keep up. I'm trying to lead by example. If we're going to work through lunch, if we're going to take dinner a little bit late, I'm not going to complain about it. I'm going to be the first one there. If we're working late to get somebody's power back on, I'm going to do it, and I'm not going to say anything about it. It is what it is. And getting compliments from anybody about anything, I just feel like I don't deserve it. It goes back to, a little bit of self-esteem, lack of self-confidence, lack of self-worth a little bit. I think everybody goes through it. I had it as an apprentice. When people would come up and talk to me, I would say, oh, you really want to talk to these guys. They're the ones doing most of the work. Like without them, it wouldn't get done. And I still continue with it to this day. Yeah. And then when it comes to streaming, I said, now we feel more like a professional. Well, part of the reason that we didn't feel like a professional before is, a little bit of imposter syndrome too. With trying to learn as we go. Every single time we stream, I think we learn something new about how to do something. Like
most definitely.
Yeah. So that's something that comes along with it. Like as you're learning and as you're growing. But I'll tell you what, taking from my parental roots here, being a parent, just like life, everything else. There's no instruction booklet. Nobody tells you how it goes. You learn as you go. That's how we acquire knowledge, is trial and error. It really is trial and error, and then being able to take things that you learned and put them on top of something that you're trying to do. Or, you know, you don't know if something's going to work till you try it, period. So,
Right. Yeah. I kind of want to take a step back here real quick.
Yep,
'Cause I really like what you stated about this whole imposter syndrome. And again, you know, I always try to make sure that we tie this into recovery. So I'm always thinking about how does this impact the recovery world? Those who are sober, those who may have relapsed, those who are just starting their sobriety journey, maybe in detox, etc. I, in a sense, I almost think that the imposter syndrome is maybe almost synonymous with the phrase of, you know, the sense of belonging or the lack thereof. Um,
yep.
you know,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, when I think about that, I think that's huge, because again, the examples that you're using, whereas, you know, you get compliments from people because you're just doing your job. Period. You're getting paid for it. So in a sense, I can kind of see why you feel like, don't thank me. I'm kind of getting, paid for this work. Um, so I can feed my family. But also the lack of, maybe the self-esteem, et cetera. I know for a fact that's a hurdle in the recovery community. Most people don't feel like, especially those who are just getting into the community, don't feel like they have a sense of belonging anywhere. When people congratulate them for taking that first step, I know for a fact most people who hopped on the recovery journey don't feel like it's that big of an accomplishment that you took the first step to, you know, join the recovery community. I know for a fact that there are people out there. I know it. I've talked to individuals because I would congratulate them for making that first step, because the first step's the biggest step. And it is a cliche statement and people get tired of hearing that, but it's the truth. So tying all this in together with a sense of belonging, tying this with the imposter syndrome, all of that goes hand in hand when we speak about the recovery community, especially for those who are just hopping on the journey because they don't feel as if they deserve any compliments, and they don't feel as if they really made that big of a step just chatting with people, some individuals, I state. So I guess where I'm getting at with all of this is it is that self-esteem. It is that self-esteem. That's the word right there. The self-esteem, looking within, doing some self-reflection, understanding why you may feel a certain way, trying to figure out why you're not great at receiving compliments. Try to figure out why you feel as if you haven't made that big of a step into improving your life. Could be because of childhood. It could be because of past trauma. It could be because of maybe parents not congratulating you for anything. This is all things that we all deal with. And I think it's just part of that recovery journey, that what we always talk about here at Untitled Cake. It's not all about just putting down the bottle. It's not about just putting down the needles. It's not about just not putting the white powder into your body. That is a big plus. That is a big factor of it. But I like to view it as a three-headed monster. First one is refraining from your substance. The second one is figuring out why you use the substance. The third one is figuring out how you're going to stay away from the substance for the rest of your life. So, I kind of got a little long-winded there, but I'm very passionate about that conversation because to me, it makes sense, and I hope it makes sense to those listening. It's self-esteem, figuring out your past, your childhood, your adolescence years, etc., to figure out why there may be a lack of self-esteem, repairing it, growing, and that tool is going to help you to stay on your track. And again, we speak about recovery here, but I don't want for people just to think that we're talking recovery from a substance. We're talking recovery from all of the above. Recovery encompasses so much. And that's what we preach about here in Untapped Cake. We're all recovering from something, period.
And yeah, like you said, it's not just the one thing. It's a lot of things. Like, part of the reason that, I would drink so heavy is to forget the emotions, but not just that, but like then people could compliment me and I'd be like, I'd accept it more. Like I wouldn't have that piece of my mind that would be like, no, I don't deserve that. I don't, no. And like, it could be anything. Like, I remember one time person in a bar bought me a drink and they were like, hey, I really enjoy watching you play ball. I think you're really good. And I think you have a chance to play, in a tougher league, a better league. And I think you'd be one of the better players. And I'm like, really? Like, why would you say that? And he thought I was fishing for compliments. And I'm like, I really don't think I'm that good. Like, I think sometimes it comes off as fake, but really it's real. I really don't believe that, I deserve any compliments, accolades. I don't know. It's just, I've never been able to accept a compliment without either being self-deprecating, without being feeling awkward when I say thank you and then just leaving it, or like I don't know. I don't know if I've ever gotten a compliment and been like not awkward about it, like been able to just accept it, that what it was. It's just me. And then when you get into sobriety, I remember at my 1 year, not a single person except for my partner congratulated me. And part of it is I never put it out there that I was 1 year. I never put it out there. But my, I don't know, and my family never congratulated me either. And it's like, then it's like, well, I stopped keeping count after that, to be honest. It's like, oh, they don't care, so who really does care? But I knew that I had to continue it. And that's part of the reason that I say all the time, celebrate what you've accomplished, because it is an accomplishment and you deserve to be celebrated. So when people put out on Twitter and I see it, them celebrating their accomplishments, whether that be 7 months, whether that be 1 year, whether that be 11 years, 12 years, I make sure I put in there, you should be proud of yourself because you did it. And thank you for allowing us to celebrate with you. And thank you for celebrating, because it doesn't matter what that number is. 1 day, 1 hour, trying to not have your life revolve around a certain thing, it's a good thing. Trying to make yourself a better person, a healthier person, that's a good thing. That deserves to be celebrated.
Yeah, I think the conversation here is, I really enjoy this conversation because we're getting down to the root here. We talk about self-esteem. I mean, let's be honest. We all, as humans, yearn for a bulletproof self-esteem. You know what I'm saying? We all want a perfect, just from top to bottom with a bow on top of our self-esteem. We want that bad boy to be just pristine. We want it to be perfect, but it's not the case. It never will be the case. As humans, we pay attention to our flaws. We pay attention to our mishaps. We focus on our mishaps, I should say. Dwell on the past and anxious about the future. That's just how we're wired. I think when we talk about this self-esteem, when you talk about it, RJ, you're not alone, man. You're not alone with that. Not being so great at accepting compliments. I'm on the opposite end of that spectrum. And I say this in a different mindset than I was, I guess, 5 years ago. I had a pretty massive ego. I loved compliments. I fished for compliments, loved it. 5-6 years ago, pumping my ego as much as I can. It's not where I'm at today, but I can still accept compliments. I have many other flaws, of course, but I know for a fact my self-esteem is not where it should be. I wish that my self-esteem was bulletproof, but it's not. And I guess this conversation again just goes hand in hand with everybody, with how you're viewed in your workplace, how you're viewed in your household, how you're viewed on social media. Let's be honest, social media is a monster right now. Social media is a real thing. We can't ignore it. We can't avoid it. We all want to be viewed in a certain way on social media. Again, I say certain way. I'm not saying we all want to be viewed as famous, rich, and beautiful, but we all want to be viewed in a certain way. Your specific way you want to be viewed on social media. And in a sense, if you're not being viewed in that way, it's going to hurt your self-esteem. That's just how it is. And again, it brings you back to what I said at the beginning of this conversation. You got to look within. You got to figure out what makes you happy. You got to figure out what you do to yourself, with yourself, for yourself, that improves, enhances your self-esteem without any outside variable affecting that. You know what I'm saying? That's what you got to focus on. You got to focus on what makes you happy. You got to focus on what gets you out of bed. What do you personally do that improves the quality of your life? Omitting social media, omitting even your spouse, kids. We're pushing all that to the side right here and getting right down to the root cause. What do? You personally, what do you do to yourself, with yourself, by yourself, that wakes you up in the morning? That is what you got to focus not all of your attention, but you know what I mean. That is where you improve your self-esteem. Looking within, focusing on what you care about, what you love, what you do that helps you. Now, it might come off selfish a bit, but again, we always talk about the recovery journey. You got to be a little selfish. You have to. That's just the truth of the matter. You have to. And then everybody around you is going to reap the benefits of a better you.
Absolutely.
So I don't want to get too philosophical here.
No, but you make a really good point, and it's something that I think a lot of us need to take a hard look in the mirror and be truthful with ourselves, right? One thing that when I start to kind of feel the worst, and I start feeling the imposter syndrome a lot, which I can't believe, you being a high profile athlete, you never heard of imposter syndrome. That just blows my mind.
I really haven't. Former athlete. You
always will be a high profile with where you were. Like, we don't have to put the former in there. Like when I look at being so conscious of time and how that is our most precious resource, more than money, more than anything in the world, it's time. It's having time with my kids. It's having time with my significant other, my partner. Yeah. It's just, and then looking back and regretting what I've done with my time. Like, I feel like I wasted a lot of talent. Yeah, I still feel that way. And it doesn't matter what, I have a house, I have two beautiful kids, beautiful, amazing partner.
Yeah, she's all right.
And and I still feel like I've wasted talent, but everything in my life led up to where I am now. And when I'm trying to fit a lot of stuff into time, and I look and I can see it disappearing so quickly, I get on edge. I can feel myself getting tighter. I can feel my self-esteem starting to dip a little bit, trying to fit everything into these short windows. And then everything kind of, it's like almost like a nerve becomes exposed, and everything kind of sets me off a little bit more, and I'm quick to frustration. Yep. And I don't like that. I have to, honestly see it myself. And sometimes I see it too late. Sometimes see it in the middle of it. It's like, all right, take a step back. Why are you frustrated right now? Like, what is the real reason that you're frustrated? Are you frustrated at the person that you were just being frustrated with? Are you frustrated at the situation? What is it that's really bothering you? Like, is it really this person that is annoying you, or is it something else that is causing it? And just seeing that, be time management, I stink with it. I mean, ADHD, I stink with it, right? So, I just gotta figure out the time management aspect, and honestly start being okay with when people compliment me, being able to accept it. Like that's something my partner always says, like, I stink at accepting compliments. So why would
Yeah.
I get them? Like people know that I don't do well with compliments. So, at a certain point, why would they continue to give them? And I mean,
right.
it's true. There's some truth to it.
Well, here's the thing. Before we get into this, I don't want you to feel as if you need to beat yourself up here. Well, let's be real here. As we all know, no one's perfect. Many people act as if they are perfect. That's why I love the phrase, one phrase or biblical verse, what have you, however you want to put it. Thou shalt not cast the first stone, live in a glass home, etc. Whatever it is, you know what I mean. Don't want to get real religious here, but there's some merit to that phrase. There most definitely is. There are people, and there will always be people out there that will believe that they walk on water, that they poop out roses. But that's obviously not the case. They obviously have something else that they're dealing with. They're projecting this perfect sense of themselves in order to overcompensate for a flaw of theirs. That's just how it works. So before you get to beating yourself up, RJ, and everybody else who's listening, again, I have many flaws. It took me a while to get to the point to where I'm at now, and I'm most definitely still far, far, far from perfect. No one is perfect. No one knows what the F. No one has all the answers. We wake up, we kiss our spouse, kiss our kids, we go to work, clock in, make money, come home, cook, clean, shower, go to sleep, whatever, and repeat, have fun on the weekend with the family or whatever. No one really knows anybody, for one, who's perfect. No one really knows what the heck is going on. Like, you know what I'm trying to get at here? I'm what I'm getting at is
there's no perfect answer.
There is no perfect answer. Thank you. Thank you for filling that in for me. I was struggling to find it, but that is exactly what I mean. There's no perfect right answer here as to how you should go about your life, how you should be in every single situation, when you're receiving a compliment, when you're not receiving a compliment, when you go to work and talk to your boss, etc. Yeah, we have these templates of how you should act, but no one acts that way. You're not supposed to act like a template. So essentially what I'm getting at is there's always room for improvement, and you really have to digest that. There's always room for improvement, because once you digest that, then you will stop beating yourself up about not being at a certain point in your life where you think you're supposed to be. You're exactly where you're supposed to be right now. Exactly where you're supposed to be. That I am a full firm believer in that. You're supposed to be where you're at. I was supposed to be in jail back on February 5th, 2016. I was supposed to be there. If I was not there, then I would not be where I'm at today. I was supposed to get drafted by the Denver Broncos. If I did not get drafted by the Denver Broncos, I would not have a son today. I would not have my son Maverick. I would not. If I did not stay for my senior year, I most likely would not have been drafted by the Broncos. If I'd have left my junior year, I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason. So we bring the stress upon ourselves, beat ourselves up before bed mentally, because we believe we're supposed to be somewhere in our life right now. I'm age 30, so I'm supposed to be somewhere. I'm supposed to be like the other 30-year-olds. No, you're supposed to be exactly where you are right now. RJ, you don't do so well with accepting compliments. That's just where you're supposed to be right now in your life. You understand it. You're going to continuously work on it. That's just where it is. We have to get to a point, and again, me too, I'm not there as well. I don't want to get too preachy here, but exactly where you're at is where you're supposed to be. You have to digest this phrase that you are where you are supposed to be. The moment you swallow that, digest it, stop beating yourself up. Hopefully, you'll get to the point of stop mentally beating yourself up. This is what it is. I'm a firm believer in your breakthrough may be right around the corner.
And one thing to remember too is nobody knows what the heck they're supposed to do, right?
Exactly.
We're all just faking it. We're faking it till we make it. And even then we're faking it some more.
Yeah. We don't know why we're even here.
I mean, we started the podcast, we didn't even really know what the heck we were going to talk about. And it was like, there's been something to talk about every single week. So that's the one thing like we like about this is that it's conversational. It's not always like super personal to us. Like Imposter Syndrome is personal to me. Sobriety is personal to both of us. Celebrating is personal to both of us because we mean it. Celebrate all of it. Everything. Every little
24
thing.
hours, 72 hours,
one month,
week,
1 week. Yep.
1
day.
hour.
Absolutely. Everything deserves to be. So, send us on Twitter if you want to celebrate with you. Send us a direct message if you want us to call you. We've done that before. Like we reach out to anybody who reaches out to us. We reach back, and we will always give you a hand to either help lift up your hand, to help pull you forward, whatever you need. We've had people there with us along the way, and we want to be there for people who also need someone along the way.
Absolutely.
And I got
something I want to share too.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And we're all flawed. Like that's what part of this conversation is. We're all flawed. Not everybody. Nobody's perfect. It might seem like we know what we're talking about. We're just throwing it out there and seeing what sticks. So
I mean, here's the thing. These are my favorite conversations. My favorite podcast episodes that we have. So these are three things that I'm going to share. Number one is what I'm sharing right now. My favorite podcast episodes are the ones where we just spitball, where we just go, where it's just completely conversational, because I think that's where we experience the most growth. And I think that's where we open up our hearts to our listeners, and you guys get the rawness of us. Two, I think what we're doing here with Untapped Keg, again, there are other podcasts out there that are doing similar stuff, but there's more toxicity out there that heavily outweighs and overshadows the podcasts of these. Now, what I'm getting at here is it's very unconventional for us men to be telling strangers that we love them, for us men to be telling each other that we love each other, for us men to be sharing our flaws, for us men to be talking about what we still struggle with, which is our self-esteem. It's very unconventional. People aren't, and what I mean by unconventional, I mean, it's not the norm. People aren't used to seeing this stuff. People aren't used to hearing this stuff. They're not. And so I feel like once people get comfortable with this conversation with us, I feel like we're going to have more traffic. I feel like we are. I feel like more people right now, I don't want to say more people. Let me stop throwing out fake stats there. I feel like there are people out there that are just so used to toxicity on social media. They're not used to the, hey man, I really care about you and I really hope that you're doing well. And if there's anything that you need, please reach out to me. Period. No strings attached. I feel like people aren't used to hearing that nowadays. And I'm so glad that that's what we're sharing here at Untapped Keg. When we talk about building the community, is some people may view it as being cheesy, but no, we just want to create a platform, a community where we talk about some very serious stuff, where we talk about the rawness truths of what the F we're doing or what we don't know we're doing, how we still dwell about past mistakes and how we're still working through it, how at times we still may have triggers and urges to use, especially last year when the pandemic came around, how just complete overall conversation about our well-being and how we care about each other and how we care about our listeners. I feel like people aren't used to hearing that. So actually, those are the two things I wanted to share. I forgot the third one because I'm talking too much, but
no, that's really good. That's really good.
This is the conversations that I wanted to have, because there are people, and we all know them, that want to go to the toxicity pages, want the toxic pages, the toxic messages, etc. That's what people want to see on social media, but that's just not what we're going to do here. We're going to keep it real. We're going to keep it real. And that's just what we've been doing. Period. And so that's what I got.
I appreciate that. That was heartfelt. I feel like we, I echo those sentiments, and it it feels good, honestly, when we just talk about everything that's going on, and everybody knows that context is needed. Context in your life, context about decisions that are made that affect you, but you don't understand how they came to those conclusions. They may not have had all the facts, or they ignored some facts. Right? If you don't have all the facts and you make the best decision with the facts that are made, the information that you had, that's why you made that decision. It's hard to get mad at somebody for that. But if you know that they deliberately made decisions based on, they just omitted some information to make that, it's easy to get mad at that, right?
Right.
Just like, people at work, like, did their kids not sleep through the night? Is that why they're tired? Is that why their mind isn't in it? There's a lot that goes on. So we try to provide context for everybody. Like, that not just includes our context, but could give you some context around yourself as well. So you can
I like that.
let yourself give yourself a break. Give yourself something to celebrate, right?
Right.
Get a Kit Kat bar.
That's a good one right there. Give yourself a break. I mean, I love it, man. This conversation, because in order for us to provide that overall context for people, instead of us just talking about each other's lives, that being you and mine, we all have somebody we no longer talk to because they may have done you wrong, or it just fizzed out and it got uncomfortable, it got weird. I challenge you to make amends. I challenge you to reach out and make amends. If that person doesn't want to make amends, then that's on them. It's no longer on you. We all have somebody, maybe a past or a former boyfriend, girlfriend, what have you, relationship didn't end well. I'm raising my hand to that for sure. We all know my story. I challenge you to make amends. I challenge you to reach out. Obviously, if there has been a good amount of time, I'm not saying obviously, have an argument and then 5 minutes later try to, you got to give people their space, their time. But I challenge you to make amends. Reach out to your, if you find it to be appropriate, reach out to your, ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend. Make amends. Say, hey, I apologize that the relationship went that way. I'm sorry. I've grown. I've made mistakes, etc. We all have a parent or a guardian of some sort we may not have the greatest relationship with. I challenge you to make amends. Challenge you to reach out, apologize, even if you're not wrong. Apologize. Say, I'm sorry that there has been this much time between us conversating, speaking, and I hope that we can move forward and speak more. If they choose not to, that's on them. Period. If they choose not to, you then wipe your hands with it and then you wait for them to come to you. If they don't, when you're laid to rest, you will then know, your spirit, you're going to know you tried. We all have somebody who, maybe a best friend of ours, where it fizzed out. Again, challenge you to make amends. And that's just the conversation that I love having with people is we all have somebody in our life. We all have a situation in our life. We all have moments in our life that shaped us to the person we are today. And if that's in a negative light, meaning if something's bothering you, hey, make amends with it. Reach out, just do it. Time, just like what RJ stated, time is our most valuable asset. And unfortunately, we cannot manipulate it. Fortunately, we cannot duplicate it. We cannot carbon copy it.
Until Superman flies around the world super fast the wrong way.
Right? Right. So I challenge you to make those amends, you guys. Just do it. Just do it. Swallow your pride and do it. And if the other person sends you back the middle finger emoji, hey, don't feel bad. Don't blow up on them. Just say, hey, I tried. Eventually, I believe 70% of the time, if it's a rational individual you're speaking with, they'll eventually get to that point in their life where they're like, okay, I guess they did reach out. And I'm praying and hoping that's what happens with everybody here who's listening to that message. That's what I got on that topic. That's what I got on that one.
One of the One of the hardest things to do is talk to somebody who you haven't gotten along with.
Yeah.
Admitting what you did that didn't help the situation, because there is something that you did that helped the situation along that got it to the point. Because if there isn't, then it would have just ended and you'd be upset. But if it did get to a point where you were both kind of doing stuff, and then allowing that person to honestly possibly berate you, and then all of a sudden they start seeing what they did, that's where forgiveness and, you know, amends can happen. I've
Forgiveness and amends.
I've had that at work. I let
Right.
someone sit there and yell at me for 20 minutes on the phone, and at the end of it I said, yeah, you're right, I did mess some stuff up. I made some choices that affected both of us that were wrong, and
Yeah.
I'm sorry for that. And then they just sat there for like 2 minutes, dead air on the phone.
Weren't expecting you to apologize.
And then it was rational conversation after that. So sometimes we got to let people get through their emotions. Once they get through their emotions, then we can start to have rational conversations. That's just, human beings are emotional. That's why we are where we are, right?
We are emotionally driven creatures. That's a fact. That is a fact. And us men, unfortunately, we're not as encouraged with just mainstream media to express our emotions in a healthy way. So we bottle them up. We bottle up our emotions, and when we talk about bottling up emotions, I feel like some people just say, okay, yeah, you bottle up your emotions, and then obviously you blow it over. No, I feel like we need to really dive into that concept. When you're masking your emotions for so long, when you become this stoic individual for so long, to where you actually rewire your brain to have those normal reactions. Anger is a normal reaction and a healthy one. It's a healthy reaction, a healthy anger moment, not obviously punching holes in the wall, etc. Mad, sad, happy, completely sad to where you're crying. If you rewire your brain to shut those emotions off, you're going to get to a point in your life. And this is what happened to me, you guys. This is what happened to me. I got to a point in my life, the domestic violence situation, to where I did not know how to regulate a normal conversation, where my girlfriend at the time was very upset with me. I didn't know how to regulate my emotions. I didn't know what to do. So I like short circuited. I literally short circuited because I've been trained to not show any emotions. So I short circuited and reacted, which obviously landed me in jail. So when we talk about this bottling up your emotions, that's a possible outcome that can happen. So if you listened to our last episode, maybe 2 episodes ago, where we talked about emotional intelligence, it's a very important conversation. I'm nowhere near to perfection with it, but RJ and I have been really working on it. You have to figure out what triggers you. You have to figure out what makes you happy, figure out what makes you sad, figure out why you're feeling a certain way when you wake up, figure out why you're feeling a certain way before you go to sleep, or figuring out why you feel a certain way when you come around somebody. There's nothing wrong with overanalyzing it. That's the beauty about having your own brain and having your own thoughts. Figure it out. Figure it out. And if you need help, talk to somebody, go talk to a therapist, or reach out to us. That's why we're here.
Absolutely.
We're out here dropping dimes. Out here dropping.
We've been through some stuff, I guess. So, not as bad as some people. We haven't.
Right.
People have had it worse. We're not saying we've had it the worst. We're not saying that we know everything. Like, that's something that we can admit. We definitely don't know everything.
Right.
I know. Earlier this week, I've been sharing my dreams with my partner, And I'm trying to get used to these verbiage, the all-inclusive verbiage, and I'm tripping over myself every once in a while. So I kind of I've been telling her what I've been dreaming. I just never did before because, I mean, my dreams are weird. My dreams are not easy to explain. They are generally not good dreams. I usually don't have good dreams. And she said, it makes me feel like I know you more, and like I know where your emotions come from, and it makes me it's part of me. It makes me feel more intimate to you. And I said, I guess I just never really realized that it's part of intimacy. And she said, yeah, that people with low EI, emotional intelligence, they don't put two and two together. And I'm like, at first I was like, I can't believe you take a shot at me like that. But it's true. Like she's speaking the truth. Like she's not saying it as an insult. She's saying it like, yes, you're now realizing that, and it's a good thing. It's just, you need to maybe do some more stuff that maybe you wouldn't think about. So something to think about that could help you in the future or right now, the present. Feel free to share dreams. You may not think they're secret. You may not think they're important, but somebody else might think that it's awesome. Let's them into your life a little bit.
One of the scariest things to me when you think about this goes in with what you just stated right there about sharing your dreams. You guys really think about it. There's no such thing as a unique experience.
Yep.
There just isn't. That's unless like Baumgartner or whatever his name was, who jumped into Earth. Felix Baumgartner. I mean, there's really no such thing as a unique experience. So that's such a good point. Share your dreams. I can guarantee you there's probably other people who have dreamt the same thing. Obviously not identical, like not in the identical fashion, but same structure, same what have you. It's essentially what we're getting at is you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. So
getting back to one of our favorite sayings.
If you have a low EI, that being emotional intelligence, 9 times out of 10, you don't even know that. I didn't know it. RJ didn't know it. 95% of men don't know that.
I didn't know that, how much that had to do with my drinking and leading to sobriety and how I interpreted things, right? A lot, because, we're taught to be the stone, be the rock. Doesn't mean what we necessarily want it to mean, right? You want to be the rock to be the anchor, but if you really are being the anchor, everybody knows like about you, stuff you're going through. Like, it's just like, they know that they can lean on you to be there for them and share experiences with them, and not necessarily just be there emotionless and be like, you can share everything with me and I'm not gonna, react, basically. So
that's exactly. And what you're saying is there's so much truth to it, because again, there's no encouragement for men in that arena. And when I say this, what I'm talking about is in American society, American was built on a patriarchal structure. Patriarch, I can never say that, but you know what I'm saying. Patriarchal structure with capitalism. Men.
Hi, Uncle.
Hi, buddy. Men are taught to go to work. It's so deep in the roots of our country. Men are taught to go to work, provide for the family, come home,
Uncle.
eat, go to sleep, and go back to work. Hi, buddy. Leaving us no room for emotional intelligence. Hi, what you doing, buddy? So now
you're playing.
You're playing. So now I'm excited that we're going into the conversation of men need to increase their EI, their emotional intelligence. There is room for that. And we will make that more mainstream. What's up, buddy? What am I doing?
What are you doing?
I'm talking. What are you doing?
I'm playing.
What are you playing?
Playing with the toy.
What toy?
Did you build a tower with blocks?
I with it with blocks.
You want to go sit on the couch? Take your tablet and sit on the couch? Then your legs won't hurt. Okay?
So that's the thing is
Yeah.
Okay.
so
Be right over,
patriarchal.
okay?
That is mainstream America, a patriarchal system. And obviously women are so sick of that. Women are most definitely sick of that. But us men, we feel as if there is no, I mean, you don't know what you don't know. So heavily driven on working and providing for a family, we don't believe that there's any room for any emotional intelligence, any room for growth in that area. But there is, most definitely is. There most definitely is.
My dad told me, this is very much along those lines. My dad told me before I went to college that when I have a family, I need to get a job that can support them. And it doesn't matter how much I hate that job, how much I hate the people I work with, how stressed I am. I have to go to work every day. I have to bring home a paycheck. Doesn't matter how much, how it does. That's what I have to do.
Right. And that's just, you know, your father, that generation, you know,
Yeah.
my parents, that generation, and obviously we can go a little more with the boomers, the baby boomers, that generation, men, don't you dare speak about you're tired or your boss is getting on your nerves or you really just aren't loving your job and it's really that stuff impacts your life, impacts your spouse's life, your children's life, etc. If you're not happy and if you're just going through the emotions, if you're on autopilot mode, essentially, or it's not essentially, you're going to get to a point in your life where you're going to flip that autopilot mode off and you're going to go down the path that you wish you never went down.
Absolutely.
You're going to search and find something that's going to bring you happiness in your terrible situation. And sometimes that happiness is not good happiness. You know what I mean? And using us for an example, hate is a strong word. I don't want to say hate. I had a terrible just taste in my mouth about the NFL when I was playing and right after I was done playing, which, you know, I succumbed to alcoholism. I fell and hit my rock bottom. I actually was excessively drinking while I was playing in NFL because I was not happy. So I wanted to find something that was going to bring me, quote, happiness, which we all know substance misuse, substance use disorders, they play tricks on your mind. They make you feel as if it's making you happy, but it's just not how it works. So, come full circle. You got to make sure that you love your job. I mean, not love it to where you mean, god dang, you know, bringing donuts into work every day, but you got to enjoy it. You got to enjoy your circle, your friends, etc. All that stuff matters, man. All that stuff matters.
Absolutely.
That community we're talking about.
So speaking of that, you've been working on enjoying what you're doing playing these new video games, right?
Indeed. Indeed.
Let's talk about some of these games because just so everybody knows, we have a TikTok now that Mons has been running, and he's been doing an amazing job with it. He's got some great videos. And why don't you tell us about some of these games that you picked up and have been streaming?
Yeah, absolutely. So as we've stated before with this podcast, it's when you're on your sobriety journey, you got to figure out other things that you like, figure out other things that give you that rush.
Because you got time to fill now.
Right? Not out there blowing money on alcohol and parties. So video gaming, obviously we're in a world now where, you know, Twitch, you can stream and people can watch you, people can engage with you. So I purchased a few games, a few indie games. Very, very cheap, you guys. I mean, I purchased all three. I think it was under like $25. Five Nights at Freddy's is a game that I purchased. Outer Wilds is a game that I purchased as well, and Layers of Fear. Again, all three indie games. And I'll start with Five Nights at Freddy's. I played it actually today for the first time, but I didn't really understand the movements. If you check us out on Twitch, twitch.tv/untapped keg. You'll see. I didn't really know what I was doing, but there was a pretty scary part and it scared the heck out of me. So I guess what would you say that game is? It's
First person, right? It's like
yeah, like some mascots
it's like
that are
it's
trying
kind of
to
like
kill you.
yeah, it's like Chuck E. Cheese mascots gone bad. What
And you
is it like point and click? Like you get to
Yeah.
a point and then you got to figure out like a puzzle. So it's kind of like
so
a point and click adventure kind of, but it's a creepy one. Like
yeah, it's like all dark and you have a flashlight and you peek around doors or into doors into the room. You peek around corners. You got to listen because these giant stuffed animal looking mascots are out to kill you. And you can look through the surveillance cameras to find them. So a unique game, pretty scary. You most definitely, you guys got to tune in and check it out on Twitch. You'll see my scared emotions. But Outer Wilds, I have not played Layers of Fear yet, but in a sense, same genre, kind of the horror type scary game, jumpy parts. People can see me, clam up. But Outer Wilds would be my favorite. I'm a huge space nerd. In this game, you get to fly to different planets on your spaceship, put your spacesuit on, jump out onto the planet. You actually get to fly in space around the sun, and you got to land your ship. And these different worlds are so awesome. Like one of the worlds is just all water with like freaking just hurricanes after hurricanes in the water. Just a different kind of game instead of just streaming the regular Warzone and all that stuff. We like to play some stuff, but it's
definitely
pretty cool stuff.
One game that I want to see you stream along those lines is Resident Evil 2, the remake. I really want to see you play that game on stream because
What is that, PlayStation?
Yep. Yeah, it's really good. I played through that game twice. It's like 5-6 hours probably. Maybe the first run through takes you 8. Like it's not super long.
Is it that fast?
Yeah, it really is. It really is. So yeah, I
Beat that in
think
one day.
that'd be fun for you to play. And then I got a new game. So there's this game that was debuted. There was a Sony State of Play where they announced a bunch of new games. And one of the games they announced was called Sifu, which is like anybody who knows the Kung Fu hallway fights where from like Old Boy or like The Raid, where like you go through, or like the Daredevil TV show, you go through and you just like fight one person at a time or like 2 people. And it's like really awesome fight sequences. They made a game that's basically that hallway fight scene over and over and over again, or they're making it. And it's like really cool Kung Fu moves. So I got this game called Absolver it's made by the same people. Basically it's like a Kung Fu Wanderer game, and the action's really cool. It's really, really hard, but I'm planning on streaming that game eventually too, at some point.
Okay, heck yeah. Yeah, I almost enjoy more streaming the indie games
That people don't know a lot about. I get my butt kicked in that game a lot. I get kind of angry sometimes, but it's just because I don't understand. Like the thing with some indie games that you gotta kind of get over is the tutorials generally aren't enough.
Right.
And then you have to figure stuff out for yourself, or you have to look it up on YouTube. And there's nothing wrong with that. You have to know that you're probably gonna have to do that, and there's nothing wrong with it.
It's funny you say that, because I literally had to do that this morning when I was streaming Five Nights at Freddy's. Literally, you start and you're like standing in this room, but I couldn't move. All I could do was just open up the door on the left, turn the light on, or open up the door on the right. I'm like, what do I do? How can I walk? So I had to Google it and actually didn't find it. Didn't find it. That's indie games for you. You really got to figure it out yourself.
Hey, be careful.
But it's exciting time, man. It's an exciting time. I'm about to get to some games here in a bit.
There's a new game demo that came out that I really want you to try. I already downloaded it and I'm gonna try it. It's a co-op game. It's the first 3 hours of the campaign, and it can carry over if you want it to when the game
Nice.
comes out. It's called Outriders.
Outriders.
It's cross-platform. You can play with PC, Xbox, PlayStation, wherever anybody is, you can play with them. It's sci-fi, and the people that make it is People Can Fly Games. They made a game called Bulletstorm, which is a really, really cool third-person shooter where like you would slide and you could kick people like in the nuts and send them flying, and you do like these really cool combos in a shooter. Maybe it was first person actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, you could just watch like replays, things you did really cool in third person.
Yeah.
And that game is really cool. So I'm really excited for this, and I want to check that out. So you should download it, and we should do it together and stream it.
Sounds good. Absolutely.
It was a quick download, so it's not a very big file size, which is awesome. That's another great thing about indie games is
Right.
they're not massive. So this Absolver game, it's a fighting game, right? But it's open world. And one thing that I came to realize is I stink at fighters. I love Dark Souls kind of games, like with the dodging and the countering and everything. But I'm not good at like Mortal Kombat or like Injustice or Street Fighter. I'm just not, those aren't my games. I'm not good at it. I'm not good at games very much anyway. I think I'm pretty decent at like some of the single player games I play, but I don't know, because it's against the environment. I just love the story too.
Right.
So, can you be patient? I know. You have to go pee potty?
We'll have to most definitely have to get that. We'll stream it for sure.
Yeah.
We'll stream it.
Is there anything else you want to touch on while we're here?
Nah, man.
Thank you everybody for joining
covered
us.
a lot.
This is we got deep on this one.
We did.
Next week, we're hoping to have a guest. Anybody who saw on Twitter, we had an interaction with @SoberLady. Right now, she's planning on being on for next week. We're very excited to have her. She's been a very outspoken advocate on Twitter, and like that's what drew me. I was like, okay, she'd be a very good guest. So, tune in for that, and we'll have to go a little bit lighter next week, I think, because this was a heavy episode. We didn't have too much for, we had some fun, but everybody got to meet my oldest. Yeah, welcome.
Hey, man,
welcome.
Sometimes we gotta just tell it how it is.
Yeah,
that's just what we're gonna do here.
Yep. And then absolutely. Thank you everyone who tuned in to Fan Control Football League Week 3 last night. Talk about exciting games.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, very exciting games. But where can they find you, Mons?
You guys can find me on Twitter at MonteBall28. Or it's below us now. Yeah, it's below us.
Yeah.
And you can find me on Instagram at Monte Ball. Obviously, our Untapped Cake pages as well. Please send us a message, topics, etc. We'll call you if we need to, if you want to celebrate your sobriety journey, what have you, all the above. RJ, where can they find you?
You can find me at It's Trickster, ITZ. The I in Trickster is a 1. Untapped Keg everywhere. Everywhere we got Untapped Keg. Any podcast service of your choice, any streaming service we are on. Find us on YouTube. We're gonna get better at YouTube. We've gotten pretty good at streaming the past 2 weeks. We're just gonna get better every week. Thank you everybody for tuning in, and let's try to be better tomorrow than we were today, because at least if we don't make it, we tried. And let's just be better to ourselves. I think that's what we need from this week, is to be better to ourselves. So thanks for tapping in, and we're gonna go raid somebody real quick before we end this stream. So that's gonna be something different too. Let's see if I can figure this out. Boom. Boom. All right, we're gonna go raid a Fortnite player. So, thank you everybody for tapping in, and thank you, Baby Yoda likes Mike Hunt. Also, thank you, A10, Bing Cortana, Call Me Clutch, Commander Root, Troop Dog, Ice Wizards, Joint Effort, Lemon Juices, Lion at Heart, No Way DJ, and D Rose, who was in the chat. We appreciate you guys tuning in. So thank you, everybody. Have a good week.